Dear students, in today's class, let us discuss module 5's other motor concept called as linear induction motor. Okay. So this is also going to be one of the important question which will be asked for 6 to 8 marks in the final VT exam. The question will be like, with a neat sketch, explain the construction, working, application of linear induction motor. Okay. Now let us see the description for linear induction motor. The linear induction motor works on the same principle as that of normal induction motor, with the difference that instead of rotational moment, the rotor moves linearly. So if you compare normal three-phase induction motor or single-phase induction motor, there the rotation will be in rotational moment. But here, if you make out the difference between linear induction motor and three-phase induction motor, here in this case of linear induction motor, the rotor will be moving linearly. Okay, so this is the only difference between three-phase induction motor and linear induction motor, where the rotor of linear induction motor will be the rotor of the linear induction motor will be moving linearly, and it is working on the same principle as that of the normal three-phase induction motor. Okay, if the stator and rotor of the induction motor are made flat, then it forms the linear induction motor. So to get the linear movement of the rotor, what we are supposed to do is, in the construction of stator and rotor of linear induction motor, this stator and rotor, it should be made flat, then it forms the linear induction motor. So here you can see this diagram for linear induction motor, where this is the rotor made up of aluminum or copper plate, that is non-magnetic material, and it is flat in structure. Similarly, this is the stator, which is going to carry three-phase power supply RYB, and it is also flat in structure. So if we give the flat structure for both rotor and stator in design point of view, then this is going to form linear induction motor. Okay, so to get the linear moment, rotor and stator both should have flat structure. Okay, the flux produced by the flat stator moves linearly with the synchronous speed from one end to the other end. So as we know that stator uses flux, and the stator flux now it is moving linearly, but whereas in the case of three-phase induction motor, stator flux, it is moving rotating, it is moving in the rotational moment, that is rotating magnetic field. But here in the case of linear induction motor, the flux produced by the stator will be moving linearly and with the synchronous speed from one end to other end. So the synchronous speed of the stator flux is given by the formula Vs equal to 2Wf, where Vs is nothing but linear synchronous speed of the stator flux in meter per second, and W is the width of pole pitch of one pole pitch, width of one pole pitch measured in meters, and F is the frequency of the supply in hertz. So this is the synchronous speed of the stator flux given by the formula Vs equal to 2Wf. Okay. Now, it can be seen that the synchronous speed is independent of number of poles, but depends on the width of the pole pitch and the frequency supply. So if you look at this synchronous speed of the stator flux, it is given by the formula Vs equal to 2Wf. So it is synchronous speed is totally independent of the number of poles, whereas it is directly proportional to the width of the one pole pitch and frequency of the power supply. Okay. The schematic of the linear induction motor is shown in the figure 7.23.1. So this is the schematic diagram of the linear induction motor, where both rotor and stator, they are flat in structure. Rotor made up of non-magnetic material like aluminum or copper plate. Similarly, stator is also flat in structure, which is going to produce linear flux, and it is moving linearly, and it is excited with the three-phase AC power supply with three phases, that is R, Y, and B. So this is the diagram for linear induction motor. Then the flux moves linearly and forces the rotor to move in straight line in the same direction. So here stator flux, whatever it is developed, it is moving linearly, and now this linear flux, it forces the rotor to move in the straight line in the same direction as that of the stator flux. In many of the practical applications, the rotor plate is a stationary member, whereas stator moves. So in many applications of linear induction motor, rotor is made stationary and stator will be moving member. Okay. The analysis of linear machines is nearly similar or same as that of rotating machines. So if you look at the analysis of the linear machines, linear induction motor, it is similar to normal rotating machines like in a three-phase induction motor or single-phase induction motor. Okay, all the angular dimensions and displacements are displaced by linear ones, and torque is replaced by the force. So whatever angular dimensions and displacements they are there for the three-phase induction motor or single-phase induction motor, all those angular dimensions and displacements, they are displaced by linear ones in the case of linear induction motor, and torque, it is replaced by the force. So torque is observed in the case of three-phase induction motor as well as single-phase induction motor. So that torque, which is nothing but the twisting force that makes the rotor to move. But here in the case of linear induction motor, instead of torque, there will be the force. The force is because of the stator flux that makes the rotor to move in the same direction as that of the stator flux, that too in the straight line. Okay. The expressions for machine parameters are derived analogously and the results are similar in the form. So here, whatever the machine parameters we are going to derive for the linear induction motor, they are very similar to the other rotating machine formulas also. Okay. Some of the typical results are given as below. So now let us see the uh, different parameters formula for linear induction motor. So slip in the case of linear induction motor, slip S is given by the formula Vs minus V divided by Vs, where V is nothing but the actual speed. So if you look at the slip formula for three-phase induction motor, it is given by the formula slip S is equal to Ns minus N divided by Ns. But whereas in this case, slip for the linear induction motor LIM, it is given by the formula Vs minus V divided by Vs, where V is nothing but the actual speed. Okay. Similarly, in the case of three-phase induction motor, there will be the torque, but here in the linear induction motor, analogous to the torque will be the force here. So force is given by the formula P2 by V. So if you look at the expression for torque, torque will be equal to what? P by omega. So here in place of torque, there will be the force, and power is, it is as it is P2. Then omega is replaced by Vs here. Okay, so therefore, analogous to the torque, you will be having force in the case of linear induction motor, and it is given by the formula force F is equal to P2 by Vs, where P2 is the active power supplied. Then rotor copper loss in the case of linear induction motor, PCU, given by the formula S into P2, slip times that of the active power supplied. Similarly, the mechanical power PM is equal to 1 minus S times of P2. Okay, so these are all the formulas. They are related to the linear induction motor: slip, force, rotor copper loss, and mechanical power. Okay. Then the linear induction motors are widely used in transportation fields, that is in electrical trains. So where do you find this kind of applications? Means usually in the case of transportation fields, and that too in the electrical trains. Then the stator is mounted on the moving vehicle, and the conducting stationary rotor forms the rail. So if I take the example of normal electrical trains, so this, suppose this is the stator and this is the moving vehicle or the railway compartment. So here stator, it is mounted on the moving vehicle or the railway compartment, and the track, it is going to act as the uh, this track is nothing but the rotor, which is here stationary. So rotor will be stationary, that is nothing but the railway track, and this rail is nothing but what? This is the moving member, and onto this moving member we are going to mount the stator. So stator will be moving member, whereas rotor is stationary. So this rotor is going to act as a railway track here. Okay. So this is the example for magnetic levitation. So how this is going to work and all, let us see now. The induced current in the rail not only force the rotor stator to move, but also provide magnetic levitation, in which train floats in the air above the track. So here, what is going to happen? Whatever the currents they are induced in the moving vehicle, so they are going to create the force, so that it makes the stator to move. So whatever the induced currents they will be there in the rail, they will force the stator to move, and also it is going to provide the magnetic levitation. What is this magnetic levitation? Means here the railway wheels, they are going to be lifted and they are going to float onto this, they are going to float in the air above the track. So these railway wheels, they are not going to touch to the track. Instead of that, they are going to float above the they are going to float in the air above the track. So this method we call it as, or this phenomena we call it as magnetic levitation. Okay. This mechanism proves better for high speed transportation without the difficulties associated with wheel rail interactions present in the conventional railway transport. Usually, this kind of the magnetic levitation, it is going to provide high speed transportation. So uh, within a short period of time, we can reach to any lengthy or long distance places, because here railway wheel, it is not going to touch to the track. Because of that, there is no any kind of traveling difficulties. Because of that, the wheel is freely floated in the air. Because of that, it is going to have high speed transportation. Okay, well, this is the advantage of magnetic levitation. Okay, thus the trains may have the speed of about 300 km per hour. So you can just observe that just for 1 hour it is going to travel or cover the distance of 300 kilometers. So if you take the example of the distance between Bangalore to Bijapur, if it is going to have, for example, 600 km, so just in 2 hours we can reach from Bangalore to Bijapur, so this is how you can reduce the transportation time here. Okay, then a powerful electromagnet fixed underneath the train moves across the rails which are conducting. So here what is going to happen? Here we are going to place the electromagnet fixed underneath the train across the rails which are conducting. So here there will be some electromagnets, they are fixed underneath the train and across the rails, and all those electromagnets they are conducting. Okay, for having all the what is that? Magnetic levitation, we are going to place strong powerful electromagnets underneath this rail. Okay, so that whenever currents are induced in the rail, it is going to create the force, and that makes the stator to move, and this railway wheels they are going to float in the air without touching the railway track. Okay, so here in this case railway track is nothing but the rotor, that is stationary member, and this moving member is the stator which is mounted on the moving vehicle like the rail, and wheels they are floating in the air. This all together we call it as a magnetic levitation. Okay, then a powerful electromagnet fixed under the train moves across the rails which are conducting. This induces the currents in the rail which provides levitation, so that train is pushed up above the track in the air. So how this train is going to be pushed up above this track is, here we are going to place the powerful electromagnet. So whenever currents are induced, it is going to create the force, so that stator is going to be stator is going to move, and along with that train it is going to float in the air without touching the railway track. Okay, now the operation of such system is automatic and the system is reliable and safe. So whatever all this phenomena it is going to take place, it is completely automatic, and it is having reliable and safe also. Linear motors also find applications in the machine tool industries and in robotics, where linear motion is required for positioning and for operation of the manipulators. So apart from transportation field, these linear induction motors they are also used in machine tool industries, robotics, wherever their linear motion is required for positioning and for operation of manipulators. Okay, in addition to this, reciprocating compressors also can be driven by the linear machines. Along with this, we can also make use of linear induction motors in the case of reciprocating compressors. Okay, so these are all the applications of linear induction motors. So suppose in the exam, if they ask the question like the review question, you can see here, explain the principle of operation of linear induction motor, list some applications of it. So if this is the question, then you are supposed to uh, answer from starting from this point. From here you explain entirely with formulas, then you draw the diagram for linear induction motor, then associated explanation, then formulas related to linear induction motor, that is slip, force, rotor copper loss, mechanical copper loss. Write all these formulas and all this explanation related to the applications. So till to this point, you are supposed to write, if the question will be like with a neat sketch, explain the construction working of linear induction motor and list some applications of it. Okay, so this is usually 6 to 8 marks or 5 to 6 marks question in the final VTU exam. Okay, now let us solve one numerical problem on linear induction motor. So the problem statement here is, an overhead crane in a factory is driven horizontally by means of two similar linear induction motors, whose rotors are the two steel I-beams on which the crane rolls. The three-phase two-pole linear stators which are mounted on opposite sides of the crane linear induction motors, whose rotors are made up of two steel I-beams on which the crane rolls. Then the power for that is the three-phase, two-pole linear stators which are mounted on opposite sides of the crane have a pole pitch of 5 centimeter and are energized by variable frequency source. The tests on one of the motors give the following results. So stator frequency equal to 50 hertz, stator copper loss and iron loss is 1 kilowatt, power to the stator is 5 kilowatt, and crane speed is 2.5 meter per second. With all these given specifications, we need to calculate first parameter, that is synchronous speed and slip. Then we should calculate power input to the rotor. After this, we should calculate copper losses in the rotor, and then we should calculate gross mechanical power developed. Finally, we should calculate the thrust here. So now let us see the solution for this. Synchronous speed in the case of linear induction motor, it is given by the formula Vs equal to 2Wf, where this W indicates width of the one pole pitch and F is the frequency. So here width of the one pole pitch is 5 centimeters. So 2 into 5 centimeter means 5 into 10 raised to minus 2, and frequency is 50. So synchronous speed is 5 meter per second. Now calculate slip. Slip S is given by Vs minus V divided by Vs. So here Vs it is 5 minus speed of the crane is 2.5 meters per second. So 5 minus 2.5 divided by Vs is once again 5. So if we solve, then we are going to get slip value as 0.5 or 50%. Now let us calculate the active power supplied, that is P2 is equal to power to the stator minus stator copper and iron loss. So power to the stator, it is given as 5 kilowatt, and stator to copper loss, stator copper and iron loss is 1 kilowatt. So altogether 5 is nothing but the 5 kilowatt is nothing but the power to the stator, and 1 kilowatt is nothing but the stator copper and iron loss. So 5 minus 1 is 4 kilowatt. Then let us calculate the rotor copper loss, PCU. PCU is equal to slip times of P2, where slip is 0.5 and P2 is 4. So this is going to give us 2 kilowatt. Then mechanical power, PM is equal to P2 minus PCU. P2 is 4, P2 is 4 and copper loss is 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2 kilowatt. Then we will calculate thrust or the force F is equal to P2 by Vs, where P2 is, this is the active power supplied, that is 4 kilowatt, 4 into 10 raised to minus 3, and synchronous speed Vs is going to be 5 meter per second. So this is all together, force is 800 newtons. So this is all about the different parameters what we have calculated. So that is synchronous speed, Vs, and slip. So synchronous speed here in this case is Vs is 5 meter per second and slip is 0.5. Power input to the rotor P2 is 4 kilowatt. Then copper loss in the rotor, that is 2 kilowatt. Then gross mechanical power PM is 2 kilowatt, and finally force or the thrust is equal to 800 newton. So this is the numerical problem based on linear induction motor. Okay, so practice well for this numerical problem. Have a good day.